Billy Ireland was born in Chillicothe in 1880, and the story is that he drew pictures on the sidewalk in front of the courthouse. So this is somebody who just drew all the time. He was self-taught. He worked for the Chillicothe paper during his high school years, doing chalk plates, which is a way of making illustrations for newspapers at that time. He came to Columbus to get a job, and again, at that point, newspapers had artists to do illustrations instead of photography. Photography was still not possible cheaply and quickly for newspapers in 1898. So Billy came to Columbus and was hired by the Dispatch to do that kind of art. The Passing Show was a full-color Sunday page that ran in the Columbus Dispatch that talked about pretty much anything that caught Billy's fancy for the previous week or the upcoming week. When Anna Pavlova danced at the Southern Theater, he drew about that. When John Philip Sousa conducted, he drew about that. So it could be name entertainers who came through town, but it could also be something silly like the young men in the 20s who plastered their hair down with all kinds of gooey stuff, and Billy drew it as patent leather hair. And it's funny. He had enormous fame. His cartoons were widely reprinted.
Will Rogers said that he took two newspapers, and I think one was a New York Times and the other one was a Columbus Dispatch, and he took it because of Billy Ireland's cartoons. So, you know, he was a very well-respected guy, and he was very well thought of, you know, all around the country.
The title panel for the Passing Show was different every week. He made the letters Snow People and Little Boys Skinny Dipping or Corn on the Cobs or whatever the season was. And the panel in which that title was lettered was hand-drawn, as were all of the panels. He didn't use a ruler to do that. He simply pulled the line. Judging from the stories people tell about Billy Ireland, he was somebody who was just fun to be with. He was this round little man, and he characterized himself in the Passing Show as the janitor of the Passing Show. And I think that tells us a lot about who he was. He saw himself as the custodian of this page, and he took care of it. One of the most important examples I can talk about is his effort over probably about a decade to get the voters of Columbus to clean up the east bank of the Scioto River downtown. After the flood of 1913, it was a slum. It was horrible. And Ireland drew cartoon after cartoon saying, look at this mess. This is what visitors on the National Road see as the front door of Columbus. We can do better. And eventually, the bond was passed, and we have, over the past half-century, continued to improve that part of the city, and it's now the Scioto Mile. We need to understand just how influential he was in our community for the first 35 years of the 20th century. And he brought the community together, I think, in a way that was important and meaningful. And people 50 years later remembered and celebrated.